Let's say that we're mixing a bass sound like this. It's got some decent mid-range, but it's just missing that weight in that bottom end. It's sounding a bit thin. Now watch this. Now that magic right there is all thanks to SubCulture, which is the newest plugin in the Baby Audio lineup. And what it does is it enhances the low end of your sounds by adding in sub-harmonics based on the detected pitch of your audio, which opens up all kinds of doors. And then we can use things like saturation and compression to make it sound even better. Now, the beauty of this is that we can add weight to our mixes that's just impossible to get with EQ. So let me show you what this can do for your low end. Let's start off with a simple but very common scenario where you have a kick that's just lacking weight and it's sounding a bit thin and weak. So all we need to do is open up SubCulture, and even without using any of the pitch detection, which is the best part of the whole plugin, we can make this sound a lot better. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go down to this bottom left section where it says sub layer, and I'm gonna click this top left button, and I'm gonna turn off auto pitch, because all we're gonna do is add in a sub layer at a very specific frequency. And in this case, we're gonna line it up with the key of the song that we're in. So if I press key here, and then I move this to something like C sharp, and we'll close this. Now, when I raise this up, it's adding that bottom end, right? We can also add what's called the root boost, which is sort of like an EQ that you can tune, in this case, to a very specific frequency or key. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing where I turn off auto pitch, and I'm just gonna head to, let's say, C sharp 2 this time. We'll do an octave above. So now, it's adding in an octave above that sub, but also increasing what's already in our kick to begin with here. Another cool way that we can add in some more sustain to our kick here is if we use this resonance section, which mimics, driving an analog filter to the extreme here. So check this out. I'm gonna do the same thing and turn auto pitch off and just change our key to the same as our root here. Okay, so now if I close this and I increase it, we can even think about going down an octave as well. Almost sounds more like an 808 now. I kind of like to just pepper it in there. And then of course we can increase the saturation here, make it smack harder. And then decrease the compression threshold to start some gain reduction. Now, one very important thing to note is that we want to keep our ears as objective as possible in this whole process to make sure that we're not just liking it because it's louder. And so what we can do is I can play this and go down to the bottom right here and click this auto button. And it's going to automatically compare the output with the input and then adjust accordingly. So now we have a more balanced judgment of our sound here. So if I click the Baby Audio words here, we can bypass it. Sometimes you just need your kicks to be slapping like that. Now, a lot of percussion sounds actually do have a pitch envelope associated with them, so it can make a lot of sense to use the pitch detection capabilities inside of SubCulture here. For example, think of like a tom sound, right? Something like this. If we tried to make these sound a little bit bigger using just EQ alone, we run into a couple of different problems. If I just take like a bell curve here, it just doesn't have the low end information for the EQ to grab onto in the first place. And the toms are a moving target. So let's take a look at what SubCulture can do using the pitch detection. So now you'll notice that there's a white dotted line that's moving around the frequency spectrum, and that's our pitch being detected of our tom fill in real time, which is really cool. Now what we can do with that information is that we can set the sub layer and increase it, for example, relative to that detected pitch. And then we can also do the same thing with our root boost, because it's set at 0 octave, which means the exact pitch that's being detected, which means that we can essentially increase the fundamental frequency influence of our toms. And if we drag left to right, we can change the Q really easily, so it's super customizable. Let's also increase the saturation here. And then we'll change to a different algorithm, let's say tape this time, something a little more subtle, which I kind of like, and we'll bring our compression threshold down and get some more extreme compression going with, say, the punch setting. Now, the other thing that I want to point your attention to is this output section, which is a really fast way of changing the tone of something like this. So if we just kind of decreased the high shelf and maybe increased the low shelf a little bit, you can hear that sounding bigger and more epic, right? Let's do a quick comparison. So that's a really fun and unique way of making your percussion sounds bigger. One thing that you'll notice about a live bass is that it doesn't have that thunderous low end that might be necessary for the genre that you're working in. And so SubCulture can be fantastic for adding something like that. So if we were working with this bass sound here, we just wanted to make that low end more commanding, right? What we can do is open up SubCulture here, and we can add in some sub layer. And I'm just going to go ahead and solo this as well as solo our bass. And as I increase this, you can hear what it's starting to add. I think in this case though the super low octave sounds pretty cool, what we can do is set the pitch to be at the same octave as what's being detected by the pitch detection algorithm here, to add that kind of weight. I also like to add in some root boost here, but this time let's go an octave above, so it's not the exact same as our sub layer. So let's quickly bypass it. You can hear all that foundation that it is adding. It's also nice that we can balance the process signal with the dry, not just with a classic dry wet, but actually with what's called the EFX, which is the dry signal combined with the process signal. Okay, so if I just balance this a little bit. That's a nice way to keep us from going overboard. So let's do a quick contextual A/B here. Now, if you work in more electronic genres, getting the bass right is absolutely crucial. So if you have a bass sound like this that's just lacking that low end, that's not going to make it smack at the club, right? What are we to do about that? SubCulture to the rescue. Check this out. It's already sounding bigger. Now, one cool thing about what we can do with the root boost is if we go into our settings, instead of just adding in, an octave or an octave above like we've been doing, we can actually offset the root by a certain number. So let's say we wanted to emphasize a certain harmonic of the bass, right? We can move this way on up to, let's say, like plus 19. And if I increase this now, so there's a lot of creative applications for this root boost as well. And then maybe we want to increase the resonance as well. And increase the saturation. Make sure that our gain is on point. So you can see how quickly this comes together, and maybe we'll introduce some compression in there. And check the bypass. And check it in context as well. See how it just, with the plug-in bypass, it just lost all of that weight. So it can be fantastic on sounds like that, but I also want to show you how versatile it can be in a mix environment too, because not only does it work well on basses and percussion sounds, but also on things like vocals, because sometimes you might get a vocal sent to you that sounds a bit like this.
Riding in the backseat, watching, wind in your hair, blowing.
Sometimes what happens with vocalists is that they'll sing too close to the mic, and then that makes the proximity effect a lot more pronounced, which causes the resonances that you hear here. So this is actually a great way to use SubCulture in sort of an unconventional but very useful way. So you'll notice that on root boost, we can actually raise the gain, but we can also lower it. And this is a perfect scenario to track the pitch and lower it. So let's just play this now.
Riding in the backseat, watching, wind in your hair.
So that's exactly what we're trying to get rid of. So if we just dip this out.
Riding in the backseat, watching, wind in your hair, blowing.
We can increase the clarity of the vocals. We also have access to other interesting options too, like if we added a sub layer to this vocal.
Riding in the backseat, watching, wind in your hair.
And of course, we can add the rest of our bells and whistles here, but this is a great way to use the root boost in a slightly unconventional way for a really, really useful mixing purpose. The SubCulture is out. It's ready for action. Go check it out on babyaud.io.